So before we start, just to give a short introduction, I am Sandra. I have been working with PO pretty much from the start of when PO was being developed. So PO is currently being used by um, complex manufacturing industries, and we do have I've worked with a couple of customers directly for implementation, and like Ankit said, we have been taking training sessions for implementation partners and also directly with customers for the past 2 years, right? So this is in short my experience and the kind of exposure I have with PO. So what we will do in this demo session is we will just go through some of the basic concepts just to give you an understanding of what PO is, and is it something that you should be interested in? Is it something that you should invest your time in, right? We will have a look at that, and towards the end, maybe we will take some question and answers from all of you guys. Yeah, hope that works. So, we will look at basically what is PO. We'll talk a little bit about. Um, so, if you guys have probably seen some articles on PO, you would have seen that it's a little closer to PP. We will see why is it closer to PP and how is it different. We'll just have a look at the architecture of PO and basically who should be upskilling on the SAP PO, right? So this is what we will look at. What is PEO? PEO stands for Production Engineering and Operations. So basically, PEO was kind of created in order to target the end-to-end process of uh, a manufacturing industry, starting from engineering to operations, right? So what PEO, you will see different modules, but basically, if I have to kind of split it into three different modules, one would be the engineering part of it, where the designing process happens. You play around with BOMs, you create your BOMs, you design your BOM. Basically, BOM would be the bill of material. And then you jump into the operations, wherein you maybe work with the routing, and then you also work on the production with your order creations. So this is what PEO does, and it is targeting the complete end-to-end process of the manufacturing industry. Now, if you probably people who have experience in maybe PP or PLM, you could wonder, maybe this was being addressed um, in silos with existing SAP different modules, right? Maybe PP, ME, things like that. So why was PEO introduced and what is different? um, when you look at the overall process, you will see that there was a huge gap in how SAP was handling manufacturing industries, especially complex manufacturing industries. So PEO is currently targeting only complex manufacturing industries because the process itself would be quite complex. As compared to, let's say, you want to create a bomb in PP. So I'm using few abbreviations here. So, maybe if you're not clear with anything, you can just put it in the chat. I can expand on a few of the words. Yeah. So PP you could use if your manufacturing industry is quite small. For example, if your company is only manufacturing, let's say, a switch, yeah, which is quite simple. The design is quite simple. You probably don't need a lot of approvals in between. You might not have a lot of revisions in the switch itself. It might be maybe one or two max, right? It could be quite standard. And once you create a switch, it could kind of be reused for a long time. So the process is quite simple, and you could just use the existing PP or other SAP modules there, which is the expectation. But where does PO come into picture? If your company is manufacturing, let's say, an aircraft or a submarine. So what happens in these cases? As you can imagine, the BOM, the components are going to be in millions. Yeah, it not thousands would be an understatement. It is going to be in millions of components. And if you have to manufacture an aircraft, it will not be a one stage design process that happens. The engineering itself could go on for years. The components could be huge and things like that. So here, a lot of processes, like especially with respect to change management, you need to have a more controlled view when you are kind of working on such designs, when you are working on such productions as well. So there was a gap where the current SAP PP was not addressing all this, and that is where PEO comes into picture. So PEO is bridging the gap that was not already being addressed. What that means is, if there is something that is already being taken care by PP, you would not want to kind of um, redo the whole thing with PO. So PO is kind of reusing PP topics. So PEO lays on top of PP, which means it is always reusing PP. And only when something is not addressed by PP, if there is a gap, and probably, of course, some new functionality, some new features using, the newer technology. So those are also introduced. But on a high level, whatever is not being addressed by PP is addressed by PO. So PEO lays on top of PP, which means it would be good if you have a certain PP knowledge. We will, during the course, we will still try to keep it a little, let's say basic, where we will still be talking about bombs. We will not just kickstart with knowing nothing, but it would be good if you have some PP knowledge just for you to also have a comparison. Yeah. So that is what the expectation would be, and that is what PO is. So you will look into the engineering part, which is the BOM design, everything, operations, the routing, creation. Mostly it will revolve around the routings here, and then production would be, your MRP runs, creating your orders and things like that. So this is where you will look into. Having PP is a good aspect, but if you don't have PP knowledge as well, we will still be covering all the basic concepts, which, let's say, we will address PEO as a standalone feature. Yeah, we will not dwell too much into PP. Rather, we will look into the PEO module as a standalone feature, and we will be taking the course also in such a way so that you will have all the basic knowledge given to you, and you will be able to follow through what is happening during the course as well. So these basically would be the roles who would kind of be using PO on the shop floor, engineers, operators, supervisor, quality engineers. So we will see why are these roles, or where these roles come into picture as well. So again, just to split PEO into different sections and to give you a better understanding. Like I said, one is, production engineering, uh, production order management, and complex assembly. So if you are familiar with projects, creation of projects, that is also covered here, and S4HANA. So when I say PEO lays on top of PP, which also indirectly means that it is using S4HANA as its core, right? Which means it will have access to all of the S4HANA features, which includes MRP run, PP purchase, QM, things like that. So very small aspect, majority of PP is used, but very small aspect of QM purchase, project systems, things like that are used, of course, wherever those integrations are taking place. So S4HANA is the core, so we will be reusing a few of the modules from here. And like I just spoke, we have the engineering part, the production order management part, and the complex assembly. So here we will also look at few different, or I would say rather newer functionalities which are introduced, like the how to work on the as-built information, managing the work queues and things like that. So these are, I would say, the key capabilities of PO right now. And during this course, just to highlight, we will be looking at the latest release, which is the 2023 S4HANA 2023 release. PEO was introduced in 2020, 18, but I think till 2020 there is not too many features which were released by PO. So even if you are using it, even if you're implementing, uh, the recommendation would be to go anything beyond 2020. 2023 has quite strong features being released by the PO team. Yeah. So how is this is basically because we have a lot of consultants who are familiar with PP, who have a PP background, and in general I think you will somewhere come across, or you would somewhere be familiar with a certain usage of BOM, certain usage of PP. So when we start working on PO, there is always a point when you get confused as to, when you see things working differently in PO. So just to highlight what are the differences, one major difference is with respect to the bill of material, the BOM. In PEO, we use a BOM which is called as version BOMs, which means that you will firstly not be able to create any BOMs in your GUI. You will not be able to create any BOMs using your CS01 transaction, but rather it will be all on Fiori. Not all of PEO applications are on Fiori, or rather, let me correct that. All the PO applications are on Fiori, but you can still use few in the backend, like creating your orders and other things. But few applications are mandatorily only on Fiori. So you would be also having, if you are new to Fiori landscape, you would during this course you will also be kind of getting some hands-on on how to work with the Fiori applications and some of the latest apps that are being developed. So coming back to the BOM, so SAP PEO, you can create BOMs only on the Fiori app, and we use a BOM which is called versionized BOM. So the whole concept of how a BOM is created in PP uh, is is invalidated in PU. So that is a major change. When I say version BOMs, what it means is, um, so like if you recall, if I just spoke about how we would like to have a more controlled approach with respect to engineering, with respect to design, production, everything, right? So in order to control this, in order to control who is able to see what, who is able to make what changes, that is where this version BOM was introduced. Let me start by telling you how a BOM in PP is created. So you go to CS01, you create a BOM, you probably have one or two components. The BOM is created. You could have a date linked to it, a change number linked to it. Let's ignore that part, but a BOM is created. And if any operator or if any engineer at any point wants to come back and change this BOM, there is no restriction. You are always allowed to edit that BOM. Even if the BOM is right now gone to production, you are still allowed to edit that BOM, right? And this is where we notice that there is a gap when you want to use such BOMs for a complex industry. And this is where we came up with this concept of version BOMs. Version BOM main purpose is to control the access, the edit access given to the BOM. So what happens when you say version, version 1, 2, 3, 4, things like that. What happens when you create the first BOM in PO is by default a BOM of version 1 is created, and it is created also in a in process state. So the engineer, the design engineer is working on this. He will make whatever changes is required as long as the status is in process. once he feels that, okay, version 1 is good enough to go to the next stage, maybe the next stage would be, there is again a manufacture, or let's say manufacturing design engineer, right, who's going to make more changes. But it is the engineer feels that it's good enough to go to the next stage. What he will do is he will change the status from in process to release. So the just looking at this, probably I'll use this as an example. So here, let's say the engineering BOM is there, and the it's with some structure. So the engineer feels that it is good enough, and the BOM goes to the next stage. It's called shop floor BOM. We'll see what this is, but it goes to the next stage. But now the BOM is not yet, the version 1 is not yet, uh, version 1 is good enough, but the BOM itself is not yet good enough to go to the production. We are still in the design stage. Yeah. So what the design engineer does is he will create a new version. So the first version has gone to the next stage, and the engineer at the next stage would probably want to modify the BOM a little bit so that it is more shop floor relevant. Maybe change some components, some alternates, whatever it is. But the design engineer here at stage 1 now can work on, maybe he wants to work on a different part. So initial version had only the body of the aircraft. In the second version, he probably wants to work on the wing of the aircraft, and he's working on the wing, adding components to it. So now he has created version 2. Um, until he releases the version 2, the next stage of engineers will not be able to see version 2. They will only keep working on version 1. Once the first stage of engineers says that version 2 is good enough and he releases it, only then the second stage of engineers would be able to look at it. And similarly for all the downstream process. So once you release the version bomb, you are no longer allowed to edit it. You need to always create a new version. So it is the edit access is controlled in such a way that you need to always release it and then it goes to the next stage. But if you're making any changes, there is a version created. Of course, before releasing, you can also add some workflows in between for approvals, for change management, things like that. So this is one major change in PO, what you will see. And during the course, we will also see how is it. Um, so there are always some queries on the ECN numbers. How is ECN not being used? How are the changes being recorded? The background of it, that we will see during the course. But on a high level, this is going to be a version controlled BOM. And that is one major change that we will have here. And because the BOM is version controlled, it only makes sense to have the routing also as version controlled. So the similar concept will apply here with few changes, but the version will routing will also be version controlled along with few new functionalities provided. So for example, you can have an interactive work instruction added. You could, so just to let you know what work instruction is, when routing is created and a certain order is created in the, or order has reached the shop floor. So based on the routing, you would be able to give some instructions to the worker, or as to what the process should be, how should the manufacturing process happen. So here you will also be able to make it interactive, wherein you could have some real-time values coming in, not just some hard-coded text available there, right? So you could have some real-time values coming in. You have few new features called buy-offs as well, which is added in the routing. You Here you have an additional layer. Normally in PP you will have only production. You will have a routing created under which operation is there, but here you will also have operation activity. So there is also one more granular layer, right? So
Hi,
overall
hi,
it
Sandra.
can it,
Sorry to interrupt
hi
you. Can we have
Farhan.
some questions? Yeah, Farhan here. Farhan here.
Sure. Maybe I'll just finish this slide and then can we take the questions?
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, so PO in general, it will keep, as you will see that it will keep getting complex. So it was gonna, of course, that is the whole idea of it. So there are a lot of functionalities. There are a lot of new complexities being added into PO, right? So these are two things. And again, when it goes to the production part of it, it is going to be a bit more easier. Major changes are with respect to the engineering, BOM, the routing side of it, and the production side. Let's say once your order is created, the MRP runs would be pretty much similar. Once your MRP run is complete, your orders are created, your BOM explosion, all this would be similar to PP. But what would be different is you will see a whole set of new production applications in PO, which will help you with a lot of reporting, with a lot of analysis, and things like that. Yeah, so that would be another new set of things that you will see in PO. All right, so then maybe Farhan, over to you.
Yeah, sorry. So if you could flash the slide which you were showing where that there was a flow diagram. So basically, I don't need to just, but I just wanted to have that. So uh, maybe my question would be a bit, maybe you will be covering in the in your next session or further sessions, but just wanted to verify here. So if we have a system, I mean, most of the customers is using PP currently, and they all would be using the classic BOMs and routing. So if a customer is using that ECTR, which is connected to, let's say, SolidWorks, so I mean, I have gone through some of the documentation. I have seen that there's a snapshot, engineering snapshot app in the Fiori, and that's the starting point. So what would be in that case? For example, if the new product is getting launched. So that's one case. And of course, as I understand, when you migrate using the program, that would be the starting point will be the PEO. But my question towards more towards is that what will happen in the scenario where, for example, you are using ECTR and ECTR is connected to the SolidWorks and it is getting all the CAD diagrams and all the engineering designs getting fed from the SolidWorks to ECTR and then to S/4HANA where PO is lying.
Mhm.
Sorry, my might be my question is for this
No,
session
that's
would
a
be a bit,
great
yeah.
question. So maybe, but I will, before I answer, maybe I just park it, but I will
Mhm.
answer it when I kind of come to this part. Yeah.
Sure.
But it's a
Okay.
great
Okay.
question. So we will cover that when I come here. Would that work?
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Farhan. Aditya, you have a question? Aditya, you're on mute if you're saying something. Okay. Then we move on to Biplab. Any question?
Yeah. So you talked
Mhm.
about version bomb, right? And you also mentioned two things. That is, the biggest benefit of it is having that because it it is having a kind of a inbuilt workflow for the approval if it is released for the engineering department to approve on and then release it to the production and so on, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but having said that, you know, uh, in the standard SAP also we do have the engineering change management, right? I think you have also mentioned that.
Yeah.
And with the engineering change management on, actually, before changing that, bills of material, because you know that, right? For the material BOM, you can create the multiple alternative BOM also, right?
Mhm.
And for each and every alternative BOM, actually, you can attach to a different, engineering change management, and the number would be generated accordingly and said that so even though that particular bomb is released to the production without the engineering change management number, actually no one will be allowed to change that bomb. And because it is having a validity in there, so it will not affect the production also because I'm coming from the hardcore PP and also
Yeah.
to your understanding, actually I have also introduced PEO in one of my client earlier in my engagement actually. I was there in
Mhm.
the RFP for the PU also in the year of 2020. So I know that means I'm just trying to understand that what extra benefits in the recent times you have built on in the PEO, on top of what I have explained to you in terms of the version BOM, because the same functionality are also been given, may not be
Mm-hmm.
exactly as it is, but in part and partial to the SAP core. This is one part. Second part is that uh, my question to you, when you are talking about the complex manufacturing processes, mostly we have sold this PEO for the automotive industry. And in the automotive industry, actually, the biggest thing comes into picture because they, in spite of they are having, many materials or the components, they also need a selection-based, component pickup uh, based on the order. Actually, otherwise the number of
Mm-hmm.
codes, a number of bills of materials will be huge, right? So there comes the advanced variant configuration in the classic in the classic, the S4 HANA offering. Now, can you please tell me that the version BOM, right, what you were creating is also supported, will be also supported by the advanced variant configuration, or is supported by some kind of a business rule, BRM, some extra tool is been incorporated to the PEO to cater this problem. So this is my question.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I answer your second question first. Uh, we
Okay,
PO does use variant configuration. So however, the variant configuration is used, you can still use the version bombs for that. But also, when you look
right.
at automotive, maybe we need to check how feasible it is. But there's also another functionality called model unit effectivity or parameter effectivity, um, where you would still, when this goes into the production, you will be able to explode only the bombs or components which is relevant for a particular customer, particular order. But that's a little bit more complex. For automotive industry, that might not be required. But yeah, we do have these two options. Okay. To answer your
Okay,
first
okay,
question, um, first question with respect to the versioning, right? See,
right.
ECN and date effectivity, I would say it's a bit more. See, it's also PO is making it a bit simpler, right? You don't really need to always know a certain number, a 10-digit number or a date in the engineering stage. So that is the idea. You don't need to know these. You don't need to link your BOM to a particular date in the engineering phase. Of course, when it goes to production, this will happen where it is being linked to a particular date. But you see that the version BOM is never going to be linked to a date. So we are removing in PO mindset. It's a unnecessary process, and that is why it's being removed. And I would say if the ECN number is available at the production stage, you are still allowed to edit it. There is no restriction on editing the BOM, and there is no restriction. You will see also editing the production order once, even after the order is created. So these two are being controlled by the version BOMs. Yeah, I would
Okay,
say
and
I
what
think.
would be,
Mhm.
yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I understand your point. I think there's always, when you are very used to PP, that might be you might look at it as a more easier approach. But if you look from the other side and you see, for anyone who's probably using this for the first time, you will see that ECN number is not really, or the dates are not really very important during the engineering stage. That is the main aspect. But I think once we go through the course, we will talk a little bit more on that.
Sure. Another question I have is, how are you handling the
Bilal,
engineer to
if
order
you
process?
don't mind,
Because, yeah,
Bilal,
sure,
if you
sure,
don't
sure.
mind, can I just take a couple of other questions and then come back to you
Yeah, yeah,
towards
please,
the end?
please go ahead. Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
thank you. Maybe Aditya,
Yeah, hey,
are
this
you?
is
Yeah,
Aditya.
hello.
Well, my
Exactly.
question is, I know, I understand that, we would need there is a massive development, or there is a different kind of development in terms of BOM. Would it be possible to just use labor track, but not version BOM? and have the solutionizing using the PEO? Is there a possibility of using the labor track or assignment of the orders just to with the PEO, just to some set of operators, or kind of buying a buy-offs, holding the production order, and reporting the production? Would it be possible using just that functionality?
Um, Currently, no. But also, if can you elaborate on what would you mean by not using the
No, in
PEO?
terms of BOM, uh,
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to use the classical approach of, not classical approach of BOM, just the standard PP. And
Uh-huh.
would it be possible for me to do the manufacturing execution with PEO, just the manufacturing
No.
execution, like, what we do buy-offs, what
Um,
we hold the
yeah.
production order? Yeah.
Your bombs should be versionized. So you can use only the production part of it, right? But then there is also, which I will talk about, your bombs, you need to convert your classical bombs into PO bombs, which is the version bombs. Otherwise, you will never be able to use it in any of these process that you see here. So there is some migration process reports available, but your bomb should always be versionized. You can, once it's versionized, then you can use it directly in the manufacturing side,
So whenever
but you can't
there
use
is again a change, we need to go with that versioning process for each change.
yes, yes, you need to.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. The this is the important part, so we can come to this. This is the architecture, and what you see here first is, a couple of questions about integration that you might have. So you can integrate, you can either use PEO as a standalone product. You can directly create your engineering bombs here, your design bombs, your shop floor bombs up to production. You can use PEO as standalone, or you can integrate it with a PLM system. So this, I think, is to answer the question that we had about integration from Farhan. So you can integrate it with any of the PLM systems. There is PDMI, which is the SAP integration module, or there is also PLMSI to which is a Siemens integration module, but that is also being currently offered by SAP. So you will see that you can integrate it with your PLM system, which means you will have your engineering bombs created on the PLM side. You could have, so these that you see images are representing your CAD bombs, your CAD 3D models, which will be a visual file. So you can have those visuals also created on your PLM system and sent it over to the PO. From PO side, either you still start, there are different types of bombs. When I say engineering bomb, the engineering bomb itself is kind of split into engineering only, execution bombs, planning bombs. So three different bombs. So you can still work on that here, or like we just spoke about, you could directly use it on the execution side. You could directly use the bombs that are coming in and not make any changes on the PO, but use that bomb to your routing and then use it to create your orders. So you can directly use it on your execution side as well. Um, when we talk about the 3D CAD models here, one, as you use your CAD systems to create these 3D files on the PLM side and then move it over. But whenever you move it over on the SAP side, it would require a software called Visual Enterprise. So we will not touch too much on Visual Enterprise. That itself is a different topic. But we will see with respect to PO how Visual Enterprise will come into picture. This thing that you see, VEMP, Visual Enterprise Manufacturing Planner, is used to kind of hand over the engineering bomb into an execution bomb. So this is where a certain aspect of Visual Enterprise will come into picture. There are different aspects to it with respect to Visual Enterprise Generator and how this CAD is being converted into a Visual Enterprise model and things like that. But that will not be part of this PO course. Yeah, so we will just use, assuming that we have the VMP setup, we will only focus on how VMP or the Visual Enterprise is being used with respect to PO. So here you see you have the engineering BOM, you hand it over to the execution BOM. So execution BOM is what will go down the stream. Yeah, so the same thing, the versioning will apply here, and your routing will be created. The same versioning will be applied here. Your production planned orders would be created. Your using your MRP run, your production orders or the shop floor orders are created here, and you reuse few of these aspects that you see. Few of these are being reused from the standard S/4HANA. Few things I want to highlight on. You would see the terminology shop floor routing, right? So this is different from your standard PP routing. So using CA01, you will not be able to create a PEO routing. This is going to be a whole different transaction, which is, so we have just, used a different, added a prefix here just to differentiate it. So we will call it the shop floor routing. So shop floor routing would mean that it is a PO routing. And you will be able to have all the operations, and all the related attributes created here. Like I told, you have an a sub level called operation activity under each of the operation, which will also have different attributes like what you see here, which could be added and used. Um, and once your execution is completed, you will have different Fiori applications that we will see, which kind of come into picture for reporting, for analysis, things like that. One major app is what is called change impact analysis. So this is a major PO application which was created. What this does is, when your EBOM is created, some it there is a process where this gets linked to the change impact analysis application. Now let's say your BOM is created, it goes down this road, your order is created. Let's say there is no change, your order is created, and version 2 of your BOM is created. So when you create version 2 of your BOM, for the component A, which is in your shop floor order, there is some change that you make. Maybe you change the quantity, maybe you change some value. So now the engineer, the design engineer has made this change. Let's say the supervisor wants to see, because of this change, what components are being affected down the stream. So he will be able to use this app called change impact analysis. For each of the component, any changes that happen for each of the component, what are its downstream implications? So that will be shown using the application. Few changes could be intentional, wherein you have to make some component or necessary changes. Few changes could be unintentional, but this app will only tell you what are the components being affected. You will not be able to take any action here. That action the supervisor will have to take. It's a human intervention that will happen there. But this is one of the other important application that we have. Just to conclude the slide deck, then we will take questions. So who should be upskilling on this? If PO is kind of the new buzzword right now. You will see that a lot of customers, starting from Lockheed Martin, who is one of the new customer, Airbus, KHI, and a lot of other major manufacturing customers that you would kind of be aware of. So all of them are now moving to PEO. There is integration with ME, but right now it's a very small integration where you can just move the orders around. But going forward, as you know, ME would sunset. So most of the ME customers would uh, might probably be on PO. PO is kind of the next in line to ME. And like we said, most of the in manufacturing industry customers are also moving to PO. So this, you would have also heard that, this is the new buzzword, and PO is kind of attracting attention. So irrespective of what your focus is on right now, what your area of work is right now, if you are into manufacturing, then definitely I would say PO should be on your list. this is definitely something that SAP will be pushing in the next coming years, with a couple of products being going to sunset, right? So this is what we have. And we do offer a 30-hour training program. So we will be covering everything that we just spoke about. So it will be the end-to-end.
Do you want me to share the content once?
Yes, if you could do that, yes.
I'll do it right away.
We'll look at the overview. We will separately go in detail to the manufacturing engineering side of it, to the process planning side of it, to the production operations and production monitoring. So we will in detail go into all of these areas, and we will be covering a lot of Fiori applications. This is on a high level. In detail, you could have a look at this. Maybe if we could go to the next one. So we will be looking at, creation of BOMs, um, handing over of BOMs. We have different types of BOMs, a lot of things that is supported within PEO. Like we just saw variant configuration. There's something called model unit effectivity. Also, you can create projects. There is a easier way of creating projects. Even if you don't have any knowledge in PS, you can still create projects using a PO app that is given. And down, this would be, running your MRP to create planned orders, production orders, um, and then looking at few of the monitoring applications like the analyze change impact. Um, we will also look at some engineering change side of it, or what is called change record. This is different from your engineering change management. Again, it's very specific to I wouldn't say it's very specific to PO, but it's mostly used by PO, the change record concept. We will look at that. And down. We will look at the buy-off, which is again PO specific, shop floor routing, allocation of components, all of these, pretty much what we just spoke about. All this, what you see here is different attributes in the routing itself. So, you can have a look at this. I think Ankit will share this with you. You can go through this. These are different uh, routing aspect, and this is the worker applications, mostly what would be used by the operators. So once the order reaches the shop floor, and once the operator looks at it, what are the different apps available for operators, and how can they ensure that the work is done, which again is also integrated with defect management and maybe QM modules. There are small integrations that happen here. And the last one, what you see are mostly the monitoring applications, some as-built, action log report, things like that. So some monitoring apps that is available for you. So yeah, this is kind of the detailed agenda that we will have.
Yeah, and we'll be having system access, so it's not like just running PPTs. We'll have
Yeah,
system access where Sandra will be implementing things and we'll do in system all these things.
yeah. On that line, so we will also, of course, it's not only theory. We will be looking at system. You will also do your hands-on, but we will also look at the implementation part of it, the configurations, what configurations are required, what roles are required. We will look at all the implementation aspect as well. All right. So I think that concludes the presentation from our side. And if there are more questions, we can take that.
Maybe you can
Um,
give us a show some light on when is the training getting started and what time.
so guys, we are starting training, so we are planning it to on next Monday. We want to start this, or I will check with Sandra if we want to start it maybe in after 2 days or three also, maybe Wednesday, Thursday. I just need a day or two time after this demo session. I will update you on that. Otherwise, maximum on Monday will 100% start it.
What would
And
be the timing for that?
okay, it will be Monday to Friday. We'll conduct session evening 6:30 to 8:30. Uh, PM IST. The session today we started at 6 p.m., right? Maybe half an hour delay because Sandra also will come back from office and then she'll take it. So accordingly, for if you're in US, it will be morning for you. It will be early morning for you. For people in India, it will be evening, and for European people, it will be afternoon. We'll try having 2 hours of session daily, Monday to Friday, and we'll be able to sum up this course in 3 weeks. If we don't cancel any session, if there's something here and there, any cancellation happens due to Sunday is not available or anything, maybe 1 or 2 extra day, whatever we could not do, so we'll push that.
Okay. I think there is a question from Dolly.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. What I want to ask is, so there is a requirement from a client, so I want to be sure this course would cover that side of it. So which is, excuse me, they have, of course, they have a CAD tool where they generate their engineering BOM with some images, and then they want to use PEO as well to have that integration where they can create the engineering bill of material directly in PEO from the CAD tool. And then the images as well will be in PEO. So my question is, will this course cover that side of the training, how to set up that kind of scenario?
In this training, we will look at PEO as a standalone feature. Mostly, we will not be looking at the integration with PLM or CAD. So that would kind of fall into the visual enterprise generator module. And when you say CAD, you will have to have the visual enterprise license as well. If you have to bring the CAD components or the CAD files into not PEO, but into SAP, right? So if it is into SAP, then PEO will reuse it. So this course will not cover the integration with the PLM system or the CAD file integration.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thanks, Ankit. So as you mentioned, Sandra, that you're going to cover. So are you going to cover scenarios like change order, how currently we are doing in COCM, and how it is going to happen in PEO in terms of like there's a way to do using the Fiori app, and are you going to cover all those scenarios and showing some end-to-end scenario, or is it going to be mostly or how the course is going to be driven going forward?
Mhm. So we will cover change record, but PEO specific, right? So in few
Yeah.
areas where you have a lot of confusion is BOM routing, which is PP related. So I will show you the difference. How is it working with PP and PEO? But other topics would be we will cover everything end to end.
Okay.
We will go in a certain flow. We'll start with engineering and we will end with production and the monitoring apps. So we will cover the end-to-end flow, but keeping PO as the focus. So everything with
Right.
respect to PO will be covered.
Like, guys, so we'll set up the configurations, whatever needed for PEO. We'll start from there, you know. She will create a bomb in front of you. She will create a version of that. She will like, it will actually happen in the system. Okay. It's only what last question someone asked, integration. Definitely, when you're doing integration, then data you're getting from a system, right? But here we are ourselves creating a data and then using it across. So that's how it is.
So thanks, Ankit. Sandra. One more last question, and I will mute myself. So as we noticed that currently, so just to give you, Sandra, because I have a lot of queries because I'm doing a POC in my company for PEO. So already I've done the config and everything, and I have some queries. So I noticed that the migration program doesn't copy the document info record and few other things. So like
Yeah.
when you handling your customers or any of the like how the other customers are coping with, because any customer would have a huge number of classic BOMs and routings, and for example, and I read that there is no, I don't think so, any way as well to do that. Just to give an example of migration topics.
So migration with respect to PEO, are you using the migration PEO migration
program? The
report?
one they have provided two programs,
Yeah,
right? So one for BOM and one
right.
for routing and one for unitized one. So when I tried to run a program for just to migrate a BOM, and we have a lots of use every. So I come from a company where we manufacture the filling machine like Tetra Pak, similar to that, which fills the. It's a very complex manufacturing process, and it's a huge bombs and assembly, some assembly, phantom. So just my question was that because if we start to use PEO and that's what we are eyeing on, so we have to migrate our all existing classic bombs and routing into the version bomb. So if CAD file is or the in a more simpler way to say that if document info record is not getting migrated over the using that SAP provided program, how the other customers are handling such things? Did you notice this, or it is something I have
So
pointing
Farhan,
out?
I think with the sorry for the report, I think the document is also you know, see, first level of migration should happen within SAP, right? So
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
expected to have all the documents and let's say the classical BOM in the S/4HANA system, and
yes,
as an additional layer of migration from classical to PO, that is where we use the PO robots. But if
yeah.
you already have that in the system, then the document will also be linked to the BOM. So maybe we can check, when we are
Okay,
doing a
okay.
hands-on, we can probably check
Yeah, I
what
mean,
is the
I
activity
tried
for that.
multiple, and we do have VDS file and everything into the source
Yeah,
bomb, for example, with 1 and 2, which is the
it
classic one.
should
But when we
happen.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
it should happen. So we
okay,
can have
fine.
a look, yeah, and see what is
Thanks,
the
thanks,
issue.
Chandra. All right.
Thank you. Biplab, I think you had another question. I cut you off that time. So if you want to go now.
No issues. Yeah, yeah. So actually, I was just interested to know that in real life scenario, sometimes the engineer to order kind of a product manufacturing do use the assembly line, not the R&D section assembly line, but the real manufacturing assembly line. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
while in doing so, actually, they need couple of changes in the bills of materials as well as in the operations also, in terms of the activities, in terms of introducing new components to it, right?
Yeah.
And that actually, end up with, multiple version of costing as well. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a kind of a, in standard SAP, we used to do that with the project system. Just giving an idea, where the WBS element actually are being attached to the engineering BOM, and that's how actually we used to track the engineering cost of
Yeah.
production, doing the different kind of arrangements or trial and error methods, right? So
Mm.
how in PEO it is covered, or is it is covered at all or not?
So in PO, once you create your BOM, PO is also offering an app where you can convert that BOM, or I wouldn't say convert, but rather create a project and link the BOM to the project, right? So there are few prerequisites that it should be in a certain order, and certain components are linked to WBS. What is linked to WBS? And there are some prerequisites there, but that is how it's handled in PO also, with the same way, where you will be able to create a project and your BOM is linked to it, and then you'll be able to uh, monitor the changes there.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, if you don't have any queries, I hope we can close the call, and I will send you all the details for PO training if you're looking for. Great. Thank you
Thanks,
so
All
much,
right.
Ankit.
everyone. Thank
Thank
Thanks,
you,
you,
Chandra.
everyone.
Sandra.
Thank you.
Great
Bye-bye.
session. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.